In this video, traders, we're going to explore the concept of winners add to winners. Stay tuned. Hey guys, everyone, welcome to you. Thank you for joining me. All right, so we all know of the concept that losers add to losers. Tudor Jones had it above his office when we were watching that. If you watched that trader documentary from the 1980s, if you haven't seen it, go and check it out on YouTube. It comes down from time to time. It's well worth watching. Just put in Tudor Jones trader. I think it's just called trader. Anyway, old 1980s documentary. Good to watch, but it has this thing, losers add to losers. And the concept of that, which I've probably talked about many times before when we studied some of the great traders, etc., is, hey, losers do add to losers, winners don't add to losers. What does that mean? When a trade is going against you, don't keep adding more to it, because you end up being in your biggest position size on your worst trade and it does the most damage. What this concept is of winners add to winners is that the best traders add to their winning trades when they're going their way. So in other words, as the trade is moving your direction and you've got profit on it, you're adding more, you're adding more, you're adding more, as opposed to most traders who will add as the position goes against them. Now, let's just get this straight, guys. We are separating a trading plan of scaling in here, losers adding to losers, as to just blindly adding. You know, scaling and saying, well, I'm going to buy between this range, I'm going to try and get the best price I can between this range is one strategy, but adding in the hope that it pops back up is a losing game. So how do we get good, or how do we do winners add to winners? Now, I know, going back through my years of statements, my very, very best months, quarters, years are when I've employed this concept. In specific market conditions, when I've been extra aggressive and I've really pushed the throttle down on things that are right for me, they're going in my direction, I've added to them, added, taken some stops, but used kind of the leverage of the positions, keep adding and adding. When the momentum's right, you're in the most beautiful position, the biggest position possible on the best trade. And you just cut it if it doesn't go your way on the first entry. And that works really well, but it's super hard, in my opinion. You guys might disagree with me. I think it's super hard to do unless the conditions are right. So how can we get better at it? How can we really take this concept and say, okay, well, if we know this is what we need to do, how can we get better at it under all conditions? And so we start to look at patterns and we start to say, right, well, let's have a look at, you know, the standard kind of pullback pattern, right? And if you're very familiar with this, you know, if we're buying this kind of pattern here, where's our add? Well, obviously, if we're losers, we're adding to here, but in reality, that's where our stop is going to be. Our stop is going to be under that trigger low. So where do we add to it? Well, you know, if we're thinking a little bit longer term rather than scalping, we're thinking more of a mature day trade, our target might well be the length of that. So we might be looking up here a little bit longer, in which case, what do we not want to add perhaps on a breakout? Now, I'm not a big fan of breakouts, but on these type of conditions, this is where you want to start pressing things. So we've got a first add here, it breaks through there, we've got a second add here. Of course, now that brings our average to there, which is why generally we don't do this. You know, traders, we don't like bring our average up because we don't like having that position, but we've got to think of the longer term vision of, okay, if we do get to this price target here and I'm in a full clip boat size that I want, the boat is loaded up, I'm going to make way more money. It's worth sacrificing it for the occasional time it comes back and pings me out. We all want room as traders, we want breathing room, we want space, we want room to breathe, and we like the fact that if we're in here, we've got all this room to breathe. And yes, under most conditions, that's fine, but we're talking about really squeezing that juice out of the trade when the trade is an A grade trade. And we've done the grading again. It is grading, graded trade, A+ trade. This is when we get aggressive. This is when we put our chips in. Position size is there. Now we've got a choice, whether add big size as we're doing it, or this is a slightly different concept of adding as it's going our way and dragging the stop up accordingly. So the risk is still the same, but you're kind of leveraging on the money you've made. So let's say you've made, you know, $1,000 there, and you're adding again. You're bringing the stop up, so you're only risking what you were risking before. So okay, that's your add. So where would you add again? So obviously, you want to be, the thing is you've got to be careful of, guys, and the trap that we often fall into with this is why we tend to not do it, is we're adding too aggressively, we're chasing too much. And if you're chasing, you're adding number 3 here or even number 2 there, it only takes a little shutter down and you're back to break even. And that's what puts us off. So we've got to be very careful with our ads. And what we really should be doing is adding here as it breaks through. Then as it pauses and comes back, there's our third ad. you know, and we're bringing our stop up here. So now we're kind of in a fresh position. We're leveraging on that little one ad there on the initial position there, adding to those two, bringing the average up. But the expectation is if it's a grade A setup, everything is sitting right, then we're going to get the subsequent explosion back up here. And then obviously we can do further ads and pullbacks and stuff. But if we're timing the ads right, then okay, we're going to get stopped out from time to time. But the point is to give ourselves the best position. Now we're in 3 times the position size it would have been on the traditional buy the pullback flag. Yes, the price is slightly higher, of course, but 3 times the size as we start to do the final explosion, that's really going to boost our account. And if we're careful and cautious, we can also keep the risk capped and say, right, well, okay, the stop has come up. That doesn't give me as much room as it would do if I had my stop there in the initial point, of course. But if the conditions are right, that's the key. If the conditions are right, if it's a grade A play, if everything is lining up nicely for me, there's no reason why I can't add without increasing the risk of the trade. That's the key as well, guys. It's adding without increasing the monetary risk. The risk potentially could be more because your stop is tighter, but the monetary risk, you're still risking the same amount because you're using the profit you've got theoretically on the first portion to use as risk capital for your stop. That's why you're bringing your stop up. So as you start to add to the position, you bring your stop up, bring your stop up, bring your stop up. That's why you've got to be very careful about how high you're adding. You're not chasing it, you're letting it come back to a support. It's finding a support, it's coming back, holding a level, then you add to it as a fresh move. Then it goes up again, pulls back, finds some support, then you add. You don't buy on explosions to the high side because that really ruins your average. So it's about thinking of each position as a new fresh position, only doing it in the right conditions, but really kind of trying to add that into your trading plan and going, okay, winners add to winners. If I really pick one of these out every so often that I really kind of squeeze a lot of juice out of, you know, this is worth many multiples, depending on obviously how many ads you get, many multiples of your standard trade. Because number one, it should be a great trade anyway. It's going to be a really good trade that you had one in, so it's already a kind of outlier. And number two, if you're trebling, quadrupling your actual monetary gain from it, then you're really kind of pressing down the throttle. And those are things that really give the equity curve a boost. All right, guys, let me thoughts on that in the comment section below. I appreciate your support if you are subscribed, and if you're not, consider doing so somewhere down here or wherever it is or wherever you're watching it on. Take care, bye bye, see you in the next one.